All right. Can you hear me? Okay. Again, that's a perfect example, you know?
It just cut.
Okay. So, welcome everybody. I'm so excited that we got to do these two really close together because it feels like it keeps us more synced up here, just like the name of this wants to be. So, let's all start by just connecting energetically, and let's just take a deep breath in, get present in our bodies, and just kind of notice sensations around you. If anything in the body is tight or anything, we're just going to breathe and release it. And then we're going to do heart tag. So I'm going to send energy to Trudy. And Trudy, you send heart energy to Sue. Sue, you send it to Linda. And Linda, send it to Jennifer Miller. And Jennifer's going to send it back to me again. Woo!
Ooh, wow.
Now we're going to just let it flow. Let the
Whoa.
circle. Ooh, this is nice. Oh, yeah. And now we're going to widen it to include everyone in this group. So just energetically, we're going to expand the circle and connect with everybody. Nice. All right. See, we can be energy kids again. So welcome everybody. Like I said, um, it's so great that we get to connect like this, especially on the heels of the good news we got on Friday. And I don't know if everybody saw Mara's video or not, and I put in the forecast, but we are ahead of schedule once again. And that is yay, thanks to you guys and everybody else that was doing this work consciously. We got there again. And so, like what Mara shared is her knowing is that October is when we fell behind last year. So for 10 months, we've been behind the ball, 8 ball, let's say. And that's why obviously COVID was allowed to come in to shift people and to wake them up. So we don't require that anymore. We can stay, let's just stay moving here. But I don't know about you guys, and I'm curious to hear everybody's experience, but I felt something like break open Friday afternoon. And then when Mara came home or came to the house and shared that, I was like, wow, that makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with Linda. Let's hear from you first.
Friday afternoon. Yes, I would have to say there was a big shift for me. Last week, or the beginning of the week, I was experiencing just irritable, and little things like standing in a line. I wasn't wanting to wait, and something was slow, and I was standing in a line somewhere, and I mean, I just made it apparent that I didn't want to wait. And I thought, well, what's going on? I'm not normally like that for 2 or 3 days in a row. I was irritated by little things. Normally don't bother me. But then by the end of the week, that all cleared away. That was just, and it happened, it seemed like overnight. I woke up the next day and it was like, it was gone. So,
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I felt.
Right here. Awesome. Here, I'm going to turn the light here. Also, I'm sitting in the dark. That's not helpful.
Energy was, yeah, you're in the dark.
Yeah, no, I
I
don't
don't think
require to
you're in
be
the
in the
dark.
dark. So yeah, and again, we were just pushing out a lot of this unconscious stuff, you know. but again, you noticed, right? You noticed and kind of went, what's this about?
Yeah, what is this about? And yeah, there was some anger there. And
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't paying close attention to what that what those emotions were meaning. So, but it turned out that's what it was.
Good.
Solved any
So
issues.
awesome. Well, thanks for showing up and welcome. Um, Trudy, why don't we hear from you next?
I'm trying to recall Friday. That feels
Yeah.
like me enough time ago. um, boy, I can't retrieve that, but I can tell you, listening to the recording on Saturday, I cried.
Hmm.
I mean, I was just like, wow, I feel so grateful.
Yeah.
Because maybe what I have been feeling for a while is this sort of ginormous sense of worry of the collective. And I know that it's not mine, but sometimes being able to feel everything is not always a lot of fun. So when I saw that video, I was just like, thank God, you know,
Yes.
finally. Um, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it was kind of like a soul relief, you know.
yeah, yes.
Yeah.
And that is accurate from
Mhm.
not so much from a human perspective, but from a soul, carrying that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, good. Well, thank you for joining us and yay.
Yeah, good to
We're
be
here.
here.
Good to be here. So, okay, Jennifer Miller, why don't we hear from you?
Well, first, I want to thank the group because I had an opportunity to listen to number one, even if I'm not here, physically at that time, like I feel it. And then with the rebroadcast, I'm telling you, I literally feel like I was there all over again. So I'm super, super grateful for that. That it just, yeah, super grateful for that. So thank you all. Um, yeah, I could feel something brewing just at work. The magnitude of I- all I could think of is like volcano. And then yeah, definitely feelings of anger, like just um irritation. Um and then it literally felt like a new day on Saturday. It was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to pause because was it just because it was a weekend and
Mm-hmm.
there it just had a different feel. And then when I got the recording, I'm like, well, of course. um
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so pretty cool.
Well, cool. And I'm curious, have you noticed people differently like today than at work, or were they still kind of in a space?
um Pockets of both. I mean, it felt like, maybe that's the done and not done, or people who haven't um and are not gonna figure it out, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
um but yeah, it felt differently. And we have a pretty intense, or what's expected to be an intense week this week. So I'm really kind of excited and curious to observe the next couple of days and just see, what
Yeah.
that brings.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, and I just have to share and reflect back to you how soul solid you feel.
Oh,
Yeah. Nice. Very
yeah.
nice. So, even though you go to work and do that every day, thank you.
Yes. Yes. Hey,
So,
I appreciate that because there are days that I have to, literally that grounding, or I have to put myself in a timeout and just like, sorry, I'm getting called away. I have to leave the meeting because I
mhm.
have to take 5. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that's taking care of you, and you
Yeah.
gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah. So great. Well, we are excited that you get to could make it to the call tonight.
Yeah.
So yay.
Thank
Yay,
you.
yay, yay. All right, Sue.
Yeah, well, it was exciting to get that news on Friday that we had broken through, I guess you could say, which, yeah, I had a corrective experience on that day. It was interesting that I went to a location, a place that I had been to the month before and had a bad experience. And I was kind of being with that I should go there. And I didn't know why. Why was I supposed to go back there? Because it was not a good experience. And um, this is a place that's open like once a month. And I showed up. I was outside. There were a lot of kind of antique things outside, and one of the vendor women came out to me and she said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad to see you." Um, she said, "I didn't know if you'd come back." And it was interesting because um, it was over a mask thing, wearing a mask, which I, have an issue with. And I had expressed my opinion, and the person who owns the event, I guess you could call that person, was not very polite and could have said things in a different way and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, she is one of the vendors I have done things with before inside there. I really like her, but not really know her that well. So anyway, she came out. We had a pleasant conversation around a lot of things around that. And interestingly, I did go in, I did wear a mask, and I bought one item, and it was from her booth, which I honestly didn't expect to buy anything. I just thought just the experience of being with her was enough. But I found one item, and as I was checking out, it was with she was standing there. I was not checking out with her, and she's like, "Oh, that was from my collection. That was my personal collection. I'm letting go of because I'm probably going to be moving in a couple of years." And I said, "Oh," I said, "I was really, it really just, I don't know, it talked to me in whatever way." And I said to her, I said, "You should really have something at your own home, because it seems like I am attracted to her booth." And she's like, "Well," she didn't say anything. The owner, interestingly, said, "Well, I'm first." And was like, "Okay, well, there you go. Again, or in your face, right?" It's kind of like you see more and more what is the truth of people in various ways.
Yeah.
But I was grateful for that experience because it really gave me another whole, something perspective that, and it was interesting because it was the day when you're announcing that we're going the other way, there's something. And I think, Jennifer, when you say it's done, not done, it is. We don't know where people are with what it is that's going on in their lives. So it is keeping that all in the background. But, yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks for sharing. And I just feel like more and more we are observing. We aren't getting triggered because we've been doing our work. And you just like, huh, wow, huh, and it's like, oh, I see where you are at. It's very important. Not I see who you are, but I see where you are at. I can see clearly where you are at. And it's that soul clear of, well, given that, you either say no or I know, and this is how I'm going to navigate this, and I feel like that's becoming really readily available to us, where it doesn't really take so much, oh, I'm doing this, this, and this. It's like, it's there.
Mhm.
And this ion thing that's going on in this DNA and the brain, and all these things are so supporting us in our beingness. And more, don't you feel like you have much more peace than the other.
Yeah.
Whereas before we had much more of the other, and then okay, we'd finally get to some peace and we go, okay, there's hope. But now I feel like, especially with people that have been actively doing their work and feeling and letting go and all that stuff, people are just saying, I just feel like I have such peace. And the chaos, the storm still brews around you, but it doesn't, less and less does it have a pull, I guess, or an effect on you. You just, like you said, are noticing. So thanks for sharing that experience, Sue. You know, for me, I mean, Friday was interesting. It was an intense day. Obviously I knew all the stuff that was happening, or at least how it's been talking about itself. But it was like, wow. I mean, at one point I just laid down and just said, okay, I let go. I don't know whatever I have to integrate here, I don't want to be in the way of it. I just want to let it move through and stuff. And then that there was that definite breakthroughable that happened in the afternoon, and all of a sudden I had energy and it was like, wow, whew, this is fun, this is good. And then getting that great news, which was nice. So let's all just kind of give ourselves a pat on the back and say good job, because it is because we all have stayed the course that we were able to do this again. And look at the difference, how it feels, I mean, and again, this is our experience of it. Who knows what someone else's is, but at least we're feeling better. That's nice. Because it's all about us. Yeah. So what kind of went through my awareness about tonight's call is I feel like I just want to kind of hand this over again more to you guys, and just have you either share something that's been in your awareness, something that has come through, or whatever it is that you have remembered, and you feel like might support the group. So Sue, I guess I'm going to start with you. And it could be something simple or just everyday, whatever, but from there'll be a springboard. So look at her. She's not even fretting. Look at how much she's grown.
However, nothing's coming to me at this point.
Okay.
Time.
Well, look at your backyard, or look at, your granddaughter, or, what you're just noticing in general, your son.
Yeah, well, he had a birthday yesterday, and it's kind of interesting. We were together a lot this weekend. They are redoing their yard, their landscaping. They weren't necessarily planning to do this, but they invited me to go with them. We were going to go to the Bachmans, their, what do you call it? Their farm. It's down there in Lakeville. And so I showed up, and it was later. It was mid-afternoon, and because it was after Harper's nap. Anyway, we've learned that it was closed. I mean, it wasn't even open on the weekend. And I'm like, oh, well, I didn't get flustered, and I just said, well, you know what? Let's go to Gerton's. And obviously it was meant to be, because the two locations are completely different. And I mean, to watch those two, and I was part of that, process of them picking out the plants, it was just lovely. And we had 3 large carts, and we took a lot of plants. And Harper was lovely. She was so much fun because she loved all the plants, and she was helping carry them. And it was really a family thing.
And by the way, she's 2.
And she's 2. She's little, 2.5. So then with that, then yesterday was his birthday, and Brandon said, well, why don't you come out again if you'd like? And so I did that in the afternoon. We were doing some other things with water. I was doing some things with the water system I have. And then just helping them like just bring more accessories into the garden places, things that had been left behind or just stones and, just working with nature. It was just really kind of cool.
And why don't you also share, because not everybody maybe knows this, is that this was where you raised your family.
This
They
is
bought back the place.
they're
Mhm.
in the process of buying where they were raised actually. So it was where I lived with my husband at the time. So it is a coming of something back to something. It was interesting as I was standing in the backyard because they're doing a lot of just do-overs kind of thing. And I was like, gosh, this yard is just amazing back here. I mean, it's a lot, it's 4 acres. So there's a lot of space. And you look at the trees, and I'm very attracted to trees and grass and all of that. And it's like, oh gosh. But knowing that this is not mine, this is not for me, but to know that they love it. They have chickens out there. They have a garden that is like, oh my gosh. And this is the first time Kristen's ever put in a garden. And she did the research on what plants should be next to each other. She said, I think I overdid it a little bit, but she's like having such a beautiful garden. So to be in that, I guess, maybe, I don't know what that means, but it was really a gift for me the whole weekend to be with them and process all of that with them.
Yeah. And I mean, I have met them as well, but they really, obviously both chose done, but they really are remembering and growing and, moving more fully into their soul's energy. And it's like once they moved in there, it's almost like they came alive.
They did.
Hmm.
They did. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just beautiful to watch, from all these different levels of consciousness, isn't it?
It
And
really,
to have those those
yeah.
intersections with them.
And it's interesting because our conversations obviously can really be full. And Brandon is like, I really wasn't awake until 5 years ago. And he attributes it to our conversations. And, I just planted seeds and it just like kind of took off, kind of like their garden.
Yeah. Wow.
You
It's kind of
know,
a metaphor there, huh?
sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
So it is really lovely to be with that whole, with them and with everything that they're doing. And feeling like I'm assisting in some way, I guess.
Sue, as you were talking about picking up the plants and everything, what I got was that it feels like there's a whole patterning or a restructuring. It's like they're setting something into place or into motion on that property.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I feel that. I really feel that. And then I see this soul overlay from another time when they were married and pioneers
Oh
and all
yeah.
this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's like they're clicking back into all that,
Mhm.
you
Well,
know.
they so appreciate it. It was the time of now that they were to be there. They couldn't imagine being anywhere else and doing anything different than what they are.
Yeah.
It just means a lot to them. So, I feel grateful that they have that appreciation and love for the space and that they are putting their own into it. I mean, they really are recreating parts of it to match their own,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah. And yet
design.
you get to be a part of it, which is cool
They
too.
do. I know
So,
I was doing some things and Kristen was like, I would have never thought about doing anything like what I had done, suggested, brought into the space. And I said, I just like playing around with stuff. It's kind of like you, Julie, you playing around with your artwork and artist gifts. And Linda, too, you do that as well. I mean, you all have things that you enjoy just dabbling with. And I feel like that's maybe where I do put my creative energies into,
mhm.
that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, great. Thanks for sharing.
Sure.
Trudy, why don't you go next?
Well, um, I just wanted to say that for me, like yesterday when Mara sent out the burb, that new burb with the whatever you're doing with your hands, I
Hmm?
was in a setting where I was at my sister's, so I really couldn't, like listen to I listened to it, but I ended up kind of just doing it, not necessarily the actual physical movements, but with my inner vision, visualized me doing it energetically. So kind of like pretending I was in a movie and doing all the various things. And honestly, you guys, it was profound. The energetic experience I had while I was doing that. I mean, so I guess I share that because like if you're in a setting where it might not be
Yep.
appropriate to be doing, toning or, doing the movements or,
Oh, what
whatever
do
it
you mean?
is,
What are you doing? I'm 3 o'clock. What are you doing?
you can just kind of inside visualize it. And it's kind of like, it'll still happen.
Right.
Even if you're not, moving your arms or sound, using your voice or, whatever it is, you still have the experience of it. And it can be very profound because, my sister is whatever, but yeah, it was remarkable to be able to do that.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very cool. I found it very helpful to
Mm-hmm.
do it. So I don't know if everybody heard that, but you just basically you're the clock and you move your arms accordingly in different directions and places, and it's very cool. Plus
Yeah.
it's fun. Does anybody remember doing that as a kid?
Oh,
Winning.
yes.
Yeah, I remember doing it as a
Yeah.
kid, so there we were ahead.
Yeah.
Did you guys remember doing I'm a Little Teapot when you were in school? I mean, that's
Exactly.
really
Yeah.
what that was.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, well, thanks, Trudy. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
Jennifer, what do you got?
Um, so yesterday, my husband and I decided to go walk around Nokomis and did it about sunset time. And afterwards, really, every time you drive by a Dairy Queen or any sort of ice cream shop, like the line is out into the street, which I'm sure because that's what families feel like they can do and do safely
Right.
and whatever, right? So the ice cream lines are crazy. So we were like, oh, let's just go by I think it's Grand Old Creamery or something, just the other intersection of Nokomis. Let's just drive by it and see what it, you know. So we go by and yep, it's too much. And so not going there. So I'm like, oh, just hang a left up here and we'll make another left so we don't have to try and turn around and pull out opposite way of traffic. So, we make a left and we make another left. And I'm like, oh, I bet we're going to come out near my great grandma's house that I knew lived on like 18th and 50th Street. Well, came to a dead end. I'm like, oh, I guess it wasn't meant to be. So you kind of it forced you to make another turn. We make another turn. We make another turn, trying to get back towards Cedar, towards Nokomis to head south. And next thing you know, there's like a one way and you couldn't enter. So we had to make yet another turn and we end up right by my great grandma's house, which I haven't been to for years. And so, at first he was like, what is happening? And then we both ended up laughing and we're like, all right, well, this was definitely meant to be. We were to see great grandma's house for whatever reason, all because I wanted to check out the ice cream store, which but it was fun, and it was just kind of like, I don't know, childlike, and we could have been pissed off or annoyed or whatever. And, it was just kind of fun. And we're like, all right, well, message received.
Yes, yes. Well, and also that is kind of a circle for you. You know what I mean? Because you go back around to a place you have in your memory bank, and then it completes something. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
feel like you just got taken back around to complete that circle, whatever that is for you.
Yeah.
So, oh, how fun.
Yeah. Well,
And then, too, Jennifer has a lovely husband who is on the journey, too, different, but
Yeah.
along. So
Yeah.
that's nice. That's really nice. So good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
yeah.
All right. And Linda, what do you have for
Um,
us?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say that recently I was received a text message from a woman who started this organization called Vision Holders, and she's a grid worker, and somehow she got a hold of my name from somebody because I had responded to somebody else's a text about grid, being
Mhm.
part of the grid, the Earth's grid, and working with the grid. And, I'm interested in that. So I went to her website anyhow, and it's called visionholders.org, and just kind of read through there and just to see what she was all about, the woman who was started this program. And anyhow, I just recently signed up. So it's part of my daily meditations now is to put out this meditation where I'm connecting to everybody on this grid around the globe and connect with energy and light and just put out that kind of healing, loving light for the planet and everyone that's on it, everything on the planet. So it's kind of an interesting thing for me. And yeah, I'm really kind of getting into it. Let's just put it that way. I'm just really feeling that energy. I feel like I'm doing something productive. There's a lot of visualization involved, and I'm pretty good at that. So I feel like I've kind of found a little niche here, something I can do to help the planet.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that's what's new on this end.
Nice. Oh, how fun. That sounds really fun. Um, and for me, we the kids were here this weekend, and so they had wanted to plan a carnival because of course all the fairs and stuff are non-existent. So they said, we're going to plan a carnival, can you kind of help us? And I'm like, sure, right up my alley, right? So I have they had the map, the planning. So this is three girls, 13, 9, and 7, and sisters, and they work so well together. It's amazing to me. I look at that and I'm like, wow. And they have such great ideas. And so, of course, they said, Julie, do you have any appointments on Friday? And I said, oh, do you guys want me to take you to the dollar store? They're like, yeah. So we went to the dollar store and bought the prizes, and they could get all this cool stuff for really, a good price. And they were all excited with their money. And they had made all these tickets, and then we found tickets too printed up. And it was just like this whole thing. So they had set it all up. And then Saturday afternoon is when they had it. Well, my brother Andy is, through his kids, is creating a corrective childhood experience for himself too. He has bought those kids he's got the cotton candy maker. He has the snow cone maker, a deep fryer so he can make corn dogs and onion rings and all this stuff. And it's so funny. So he was the cook and had all these stations so you could have snow cones or cotton candy. And then there was these games they had made. And so it was really fun because Mara got to be part of it too. And so the one was a balloon pop. So they're like, how are we going to make something sharp enough that's still safe to pop the balloons? And so we found at the dollar store this little dartboard, and I said, you know what, let's take skewers and we'll tape them to the dart, because then it'll have some weight to, and the skewer will be sharp enough to poke the balloons. And of course that worked great. And then there was where you sat on balloons to pop it. Well, of course, they don't realize that if you have more weight, it's no problem to pop a balloon when you sit on it. had like a ping pong cup toss, and then they wanted to do the duck in the water, you know, where you pick up and you get a certain number of tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we couldn't find any ducks. And so this is just, I realize how my imagination works, because I always see a possibility, you know, right away. There's like a solution there. So I said, well, let's do this. We have tons of those plastic Easter eggs. Why don't we use Easter eggs, and you can put the number inside, and then they can open, and they're like, oh yeah, that'll be great. So that worked great. You know what I mean? So they had the
Mhm.
Easter egg thing, and it was just, and then they had the prize table all set up. And it was just so delightful. And then I said, well, do you guys want me to invite some other people here? You know, and they're like, oh, sure. So I talked to a couple of the neighbors, and they came over too and participated. So it was just this innocent experience. Like this one neighbor, she's really not so, she's not like me at all. She's very much more reserved and in herself and stuff. And I said, Lori, get your butt over here and give your childhood some fun. And I wasn't sure if she was going to come or not, but she ended up coming over and had a great time. And then Judy, my neighbor next door, she's so sweet. Well, you know, her husband answers the door, and he's a little more serious and stuff. And I said, you know, Arlen, I said, 10 paces to the left, and there's a carnival brewing. I said, I know that's probably not your forte, but I said, I bet Judy'd love it. He's like, okay, I'll tell her. And so it was just so funny how people, and then the other household, they have teenagers. And so a bunch of the teenage girls came over. And so it just, I don't know, it was like this cool Insta community without planning. You know what I mean? And everybody just had so much fun, and they enjoyed it. And then the girls felt so proud that they had come up with it. And I don't know, it was just overall, it was just a lovely experience. So, but again, when we're free to be, right, be ourselves, to use our creative and imagination, and then include others, just this magic appears, you know. It was just really fun. And it took me back to one summer I did this. I created go figure, a whole carnival thing with the kids. And my friend Barbara, also she's an artist. So we did face painting. We did all this stuff. Except we made up invitations, went up and down the street and even invited kids and all this stuff. And so it was just kind of like, we're talking about full circles, Jennifer. It was like me coming around full circle with that as well. So that was just kind of fun. So I'm just going to touch on a couple things here as far as the energy and things that are evolving from what we know to be true. You know, last time I talked about the caps, but, you know, we're letting go of the lowercase letters to move into uppercase, of the uppercase of truth. So the lowercase of illusion to the uppercase of truth. So part of this DNA shifting is everything's getting capped. So if you look at things being capped off, right? So, or you put a cap on something. And so this cap thing is really big. So of course, I can see why I made all those bottle caps way back when. Remember when I made all those magnets?
Yes.
That's how come, because they're code. So you may want to, if you got any of those magnets, you may want to pull them out or bring them in the forefront again, because they'll help you connect with that energy. And with that being said, of course, all of a sudden they were like all excited and wanted to have some new ones made. So I will have some new ones the next time you visit. I guess there'll be some new ones. So, and there's some really cool ones because Maddie did them with me. So I've got some of her influence there too. Yeah. So that's one thing. And there is this thing happening when you hit 12 o'clock. So let's breathe into that. So 12 o'clock would be what direction?
North,
How do you go home?
north.
Through north, right?
Yep.
So what we've been playing this game, go figure, these video games that show us all kinds of stuff. It's called Clockmaker. Now we haven't played Clockmaker for a long, long time, probably since January. And then we were guided to play it again. But there's this one game where it shows a clock and you have to make matches along the side of it and it moves the hands. And then all of a sudden when you do, it like spins everything around and it blows, like it clears out a lot of stuff for you. If you can feel that visual. So
Yeah.
when it comes around and hits 12, it's like clear. So there's something like that going on energetically.
Julie, as you're talking, you know what popped into my head is that one video Mara did where I don't remember what it's called, but there's that shape that swirls around and the sound. I might have to email it to you, but it just reminds me of one of her videos.
Yes.
You know which
yes,
one I'm talking
yes,
about?
Yes. I do.
It makes that loud sound.
Yes. Yes. It's with geometric shapes.
Yes.
It is. Yeah, I'll have to look at that, but it's
Yeah.
it's in one of those movies Into You.
Yes.
I can't remember what it's called at this moment, but yes, something like that. But
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, then you're inside the clock. Do you feel that?
Yeah, I do.
Then you're like, you hit that 12, you're inside. You're just, and then you have to go through
Oh.
all those steps inside.
Remember when she used to do the like this, go all the way around, and then she'd come down and go.
And turn. Yep. And go in. Yeah, but it's fast now.
Yeah,
You're there before you know it. And
like
then you just,
instantaneous.
you go all the way through inside like that. So there's this whole thing about, and I'm just trying to give you guys a visual. I'm just trying to give you a visual of how this might look. You know what I mean? So you have some kind of reference in your awareness. But it's, I'll find that video again and I'll text you guys the link so you can go back and rewatch it, because the way that movie moves is a lot.
Yeah.
It gives you a reference of that. So thank you for that, Trudy. And we have somebody that just joined us. Announce yourself. Hello, Karen.
Am I off mute? Oh yeah, I am off
There you
mute.
go.
You guys can see
Hi,
I'm still
welcome.
working. I'm on a
Oh my
call
gosh.
with 2 headpieces in, so I didn't want to miss saying hello. And I kept thinking, oh, maybe this is Eastern time. Couldn't possibly be 7:50 already, but it is. But so I thought I would just check in with you guys, send you my love and my energy.
We're glad you snuck in here. We know you've been working hard, but what do you want to share? What are you noticing? Or what do you want to put in the space?
I'm just noticing that one very important element is our connectedness, to really strengthen our energy during this time. So it's not just what we're going through individually, because I'm noticing that the energy really is going up and down. But if we can tap into the energy of our group, that's why this is so key. If we can remember this energy, it somehow helps us. It helps us exponentially. And I think we just get this tendency to think that, oh, we're working through our own stuff, which we are, but there's something about it getting lighter if we can connect our energy to move through it quicker.
Yeah.
So,
I get that.
Yeah, I really feel that. And
and
again,
I have to be reminded of that, because you spend a lot of time in your own space.
especially if you're working from home now, right? And living at
Exactly.
home and working from home, and yes, and then you're just talking to people via computers. Yeah.
Mhm.
So Yeah, but also that the connectedness of what Karen's saying is coming together with other people of similar spaces to, and then there's this exponential something that happens. It's a lift. It really is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like a
boost
lift.
came to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, wow. Well, we are
because
so happy.
because the energy is so different every moment of the day. So there'll be times where, oh my gosh, I can't believe how great this feels, and then there'll be times where it's like, whoo, what just happened? It's just there's just so much more of the big stuff shifting that we have to remember that we're kind of tapped into it and we're really sensitive to it, and it's hard not to take it on sometimes.
Yeah.
So
And thank you for reiterating that, because Trudy was even speaking to that earlier in the call. Not especially as we're feelers, we
Yeah.
feel it all, and to keep that discernment of be in that of.
So I have to remind myself, and then because I always feel like I'm picking myself up again, regrounding and picking myself up because I'm feeling so much through this process.
Yeah.
So
So, well, cool. Well, anything else you want to share? Are you good, or you have to go? I don't know where you're at with all
yeah,
that.
I love you guys. I love you guys. Just wanted you to know I was thinking of you.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
well,
And,
thanks for coming
Great that
in.
you can pop in.
Yeah.
Okay,
Nice.
All right,
All
bye,
right.
Karen.
Bye.
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 Thanks.
Well, that's inspired me because I've been hesitant because last week I had, an evening meeting and I'm like, oh, pop in for 5 minutes, but don't want to disrupt, but
Yeah, but
we're just
and
gonna
again,
go with it.
yeah. Well, and the thing is, do you see how she added to the energy and how it
Yeah.
exponentially went? You know what I mean? And it worked for her too.
Yep.
So I feel like, again, we don't have quote unquote any agenda here. It's just about syncing up.
Yeah.
And syncing up can look lots of different ways. So it's a good reharder for us to know, oh, we don't want to disrupt anything. We don't want
Yeah.
to, you know what I mean? Like those are old beliefs,
Yeah.
right? So, and in business, obviously, those rules still apply. So I can see where you're still playing in that, Jennifer.
Yeah. Except for when I have to put myself in a timeout and excuse myself from the situation.
I like it. Put myself in a timeout. Oh, well, good. Well, this feels really nice here, and I feel like we're at a good spot. And I just want to say thanks for everybody showing up. This is exciting, and I feel excited that we're going to connect again next week. Is it Wednesday or Thursday next week? I don't have it in my awareness right
I
now.
had Tuesday in my head, but
Does anybody know?
I think
I
it's
feel like
Tuesday.
Is it
I feel
Tuesday?
like
Oh,
25th.
yeah, the 25th.
25th.
Oh, okay. I had it later in the week, but the 25th
I don't
obviously is Tuesday in this reality. So,
I don't know. It's on my calendar. That's all I know.
okay. So yeah, so we'll be syncing up again next Tuesday. And then I'll probably have some dates for us to physically gather in September. And I feel like it's going to be more of a creative thing too. So we actually get to create stuff. And then we'll, Sue and I'll kind of talk too, and there'll be her space, like we've been talking about. It feels like it's ready to host something. And we'll see what that looks like too. So take care, everybody.
Yeah.
We're just going to energetically put our hearts in to close the circle, bring it around, and we are complete for now. Oh, I felt that. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Good night.
Good night.